Hey guys, we're here with the 2025 Civic Hybrid Hatchback. It's going to be a great comparison video because last week I had the Accord Hybrid and they have a similar powertrain. The Accord costs, of course, a little bit more. It's a bigger vehicle. You know, this does offer such good fuel economy and a similar powertrain for less money than the Accord Hybrid. So I'm going to tell you if this is just a better buy than the Accord Hybrid today. So we're gonna do a quick walk around and then we're gonna get on the road and start driving because that's where the biggest difference is with this Civic versus the Accord actually happen and are evident, all right? So for 2025, the Civic got a refreshed front end. It's got a bigger chin at the bottom. The fog lights are gone, a little bit more revised honeycomb style grille here, parking sensors in the front, which is really nice feature here on the Sport Touring model. You can get this hatchback without the hybrid, but there's only 3 grades: Sport non-hybrid, Sport hybrid, and then Sport Touring hybrid, which we have here. This has 19-inch wheels, which are also a new wheel design for 2025. Mild refresh in terms of styling on the back. Really, there's not much of difference. I believe the Sedan has more smoked out rear taillights, but other than the hybrid badge back here, it looks very, very familiar. Let's go and lift this up. This does also cost a premium over the Sedan hybrid. And yeah, the benefit of that and why you pay more is, well, for this. So you can get into the back a little bit easier. You can fold down the seats, you have more practicality, and you have, I don't know, this more of accordion style tonneau cover back here. It's very unique that it's like built in. It's very unique. Very cool. Well, let's go ahead and fold this down and look at these little rubber bushings here to just improve the NVH in this vehicle. I like that there's a wiper on the back here. You don't always see that on modern vehicles. So let's go ahead and get on the back. The back seat, is this too small for if you're in a compact car? Is this too small? Absolutely not. This is set up for me at 6'1". Look at this leg room. Tons of leg room back here. Now, the Accord has standard vents and USBs in the back, and we're in the top tippy top Civic here, the most expensive besides the Type R, and we don't have vents back here. We don't have USBs, so that's a thing. Fold this down. We do have some cup holders, a little door light above, a little map light, but I like this gray interior. It's quite nice, very cozy. With these leather seats, I like how we have a little two-tone action back here and even a little glossy insert there. So pretty standard equipment, I would say, for a vehicle of this class. Again, these seats are very comfortable. We'll talk more about the comfort when we start driving versus something like the Accord. This is a soft touch up here, and then just the materials on the front door are much better. Let's go and get in here. Fully digital MID behind the steering wheel. This has Android Auto wireless. This has the upgraded screen. Now, they did upgrade the screen throughout the entire lineup, but only the top models, like the Sport Touring, have Google built in. So that's why you see like the little Google Assistant. Let's just back out of there, but you get the idea. Now, there is no Sirius XM in here, like the Accord doesn't have Sirius XM either. So here's your power flow monitor. And we'll do a fuel economy test this week, so stay tuned for the fuel economy test. I believe this is also new for 25, is kind of like this vent surround here on the Sport Touring Hybrid. The Sport Touring Hybrid also comes with the Bose sound system. The Sport Hybrid also comes standard with the sunroof as well. Auto dimming rearview mirror, sunglasses holder, which is nice to have. Foam lined, by the way. Leather wrapped steering wheel. It is not heated. We do have paddle shifters to kind of work with the regen. We'll talk more about that when we start driving. Love the climate control. I like that we don't have a push button system. I'm a traditionalist with shifters, so I like having that. Drive mode select, auto brake hold, and heated outboard seats here, all right? Ventilated seats you can get on the Accord. So speaking of the Accord Hybrid, we have a similar powertrain. Both this and the Accord Hybrid are parallel series style hybrid, but where the electric motors are situated in here are in a more compact fashion, and they run parallel to the engine. So you see the engine right here with the Honda logo on top with that cover, and then to the right of that you have 2 electric motors for drive and regen. On paper it's very similar. We have 200 horsepower here. The Accord has 204 horsepower, and this has 232 pound-feet of torque, where I believe the Accord and the CR-V has something like a little over 240. All right, fuel economy is 48 miles per gallon. It's front wheel drive only, something that the, let's say the Accord also is front wheel drive, but if you look at the Toyota Camry as well as the Toyota Corolla, those are optional all wheel drive. So hopefully, I know it's coming for Honda, 2026 will have optional all wheel drive on their next gen hybrid setup. But in the meantime, I can't wait to tell you all about how this one's like to drive compared to the Accord, and even compared to maybe some of the Toyota offerings on the market. So let's go ahead and start driving the new Civic hatchback hybrid. Oh, by the way, we do have smart key access up here, but not on the back door handle. All right, put into reverse here, no 360 camera available here on the Civic, but I mean, should you expect that? I think, does the Elantra hybrid have that, for example? I'll fact check myself, but that would have been a nice feature to have here. Or the engine just fired on. And that's an immediate difference from what we see on the Accord. The Accord hybrid is, other than like a plug-in hybrid, it's probably the smoothest hybrid I've ever driven. You never really know if the engine's on or off. Even under acceleration, unless your pedal's down all the way on the Accord, it's sneaky, sneaky quiet, and it drives mostly like an electric vehicle, except for the crazy instant response and acceleration you would have from an EV. Here in the Civic, you know when the engine's on, and it not only lets you know, you feel the vibration of it just a little bit, it's still pretty refined. You feel it come on, but you hear it come on most importantly. And I never, ever, unless I was at a stop and I had no fans going, I never heard the engine come on in the Accord. Here on the Civic, it doesn't have the same sort of sound deadening technology or attention here. And so the engine is much more present, all right? And that might be a benefit for some people. Some people prefer to have a little bit more engagement. And this, I would say, is a far more engaging hybrid than the Accord. That is fantastic. All right. So I would say from about 0 to 35, it feels like an EV. You just have insane amounts of upfront torque, and it is twitchy. The Accord, even though it is on paper super similar to this, it just feels completely different. And even in sport mode in the Accord, it was still not nearly as responsive with the throttle as I wanted it to be. In econ mode here, the throttle here it's ready to party all the time. Even the slightest push of the pedal, it's ready to go. So in terms of an engaging aspect, this is a far more fun car to drive, just from how perky the engine. Oh, poor iguana. Just from what he was already dead, so I didn't do it. He was just they're invasive anyways. Even though on paper it has 4 less horsepower, it feels like it has 50 more horsepower because this car is ready to do what you want it to do. The Accord never felt like that. The Accord is like, hey, you don't really want to accelerate. You want to focus on fuel economy, and you want to focus on a luxurious experience. Which the Accord, my gosh, it's so lavish, all right? You might look at it and think it's funny looking from the outside. I will agree that the Civic looks way better than the Accord, but you get on the inside and these cars couldn't feel any more different. And that's why I do believe like there's a market that exists for both of these vehicles. Like, I feel the road here more, which is more of an enthusiast thing. Like, I feel like I know what's going on. I feel the imperfections in the road. These 19s with the skinny tires don't help, right? But in the Accord, it seemed like everything was trying to be removed. The engine sound, the noise from the outside, the connection to the tires, all that was gone in the Accord, and it made for a luxurious experience. But if you want a hybrid that is going to get you just as good as fuel economy as the Accord, we'll find out when I do my fuel economy tests on this. But on paper, it's similar, right? But this is going to give you the same fuel economy, but a far more fun and engaging experience that costs less money, all right? The steering in here is razor sharp, something that the Accord is just kind of lifeless. It still handles well, but it's it's not trying to pretend it's a fun sporty car. The steering in here is razor sharp. It feels like an SI in a lot of ways. Don't have as much grip as an SI. We have skinnier tires here. We don't have the same, you know, performance summer tires either. But in a straight line, this is far more quick, I should say. It's quicker than the Accord 0 to 60. This will do 0 to 60 in about, well, I should get it out, right? I got the drag meter. So I want to say 0 to 60 in the SIs around 7 seconds, a little over 7 seconds. It really depends how good of a launch you get, how fast you want to row through the gears, even though the Civic Si does not want you to row through the gears because of the rev hang on it. Watch my Civic Si review for 2025. Love the car, but it's more of a gentleman's sport car nowadays because the rev hang is just, it just makes you want to take your time shifting gears. So let's do a little U-turn here, and we'll find an opportunity to do a 0 to 60, but let's do this U-turn. Yeah, it's a Civic, and then you push the gas, even in econ mode, and it's gone. It just goes. There's no waiting around. However, does this still suffer from Honda's, like if you look at the Accord and the CR-V hybrid, once you're up to speed, if you just pedal down, there's a big delay and a lag because the engine still has to provide enough electricity for the drive motor to take off. So what does that feel like here? Well, I'll put it in sport mode to get, in theory, the best response. So pedal down, it's the same exact thing as the Accord. You get a slight push from the electric motor when you do full pedal down, but then you're waiting for the engine to engage to pick up revs to provide the power to the motor generator, all right? But if you just do a mild press, it's more responsive and it's quicker, right? It doesn't make sense. You would think pedal down all the way, you'd get the quickest response, but actually you get the quickest response from about 75% throttle input and less, all right? So let's go ahead and, well, let's go past this downhill portion because I don't want to go downhill in a 0 to 60. All right, and the brakes here are, oh my gosh, they're so much better than the brakes on the Accord. Let's do a little torque boost. Doesn't do much. The engine purrs a little bit. And notice it's not shifting through gears like it was before. 0 to 60 in 6.45 and 0 to 100 kilometers per hour in 6.85. It's at least a half second faster to 60 than the more fun Civic Si. So if acceleration and fuel economy are very important to you, this vehicle is going to tick those boxes, as well as good braking performance, good feedback, as well as great handling and incredible steering. I like this car more than the Accord, okay? But if I had the Accord too, like I'm just blissed and zenned out. So this car just makes you feel like you want to push it more, where the Accord is telling you, hey, back off and just relax, all right? They have complete different personalities. It's like the Accord hybrid is the, I don't know, the 20, let's say the 40-year-old brother, and then he has a 20-year-old brother, maybe from another mother, and that's what this Civic feels like. He's high in testosterone, he's quick, agile, he wants to push the envelope, he wants to have a good time, where the Accord hybrid is saying, hey, let's just take it easy. I don't need to prove anything. I know who I am and I'm okay with that. I will also say you hear a lot more from the road compared to the 19-inch tires on the Accord touring model. It's a much louder vehicle overall. Now, I'm not getting a whole lot of noise coming from the side glass, even though I don't have acoustic glass. I believe the Accord touring hybrid did have acoustic glass. It was definitely a quieter car. So you hear not only the road more, but you hear the synthetic EV noise up to about 23, 24 miles an hour that I actually didn't hear at all on the Accord, all right? Honda was able to keep that external pedestrian warning EV noise. Oh, there's an Accord hybrid there, but that's a previous gen. But they're able to keep it out of the cabin. On this car, you hear it a little bit more. It's not super annoying like it is in the Prologue EV. It's tolerable here, and it feels more similar to, let's say, the noise intrusion that you have on Toyota's hybrids, which you notice it, but it's not like going to persuade you from not buying the car. So if we compare this to the Camry hybrid, it's faster than the Camry hybrid. The Camry hybrid is going to get better fuel economy. I'm almost certain of it because I got 65 miles per gallon on the base LE, and the base LE Camry costs similar to this. Actually, it's cheaper. So can I recommend the hatchback sport? Costs more than the Corolla, so the Corolla is not really in the equation. I would take this over the Elantra hybrid. The Prius, since we're talking about hatchback to hatchback, I think the Prius looks better. The Prius is going to get better fuel economy just by a little bit. The Prius isn't quite as quick as this, but it is, I would say, in some cases more responsive. It just depends on the situation. The Prius also has available all-wheel drive, but the Prius is really, really hard to find in America after we've had recalls on it. There's been stop sales. So the Civic is more fun to drive. It feels like a more solid vehicle than the Prius, but the Prius looks better than this. It has available all-wheel drive. And I would say this is probably more comfortable than the Prius as well. I would say this is even more comfortable than the Camry. These seats are more comfortable than the Camry. All right, so it's just, you know, it's a good car. Here's the thing, I don't think, so I throw it around the turn, oh, it feels great. So good in the turn. Something that a Toyota hybrid just doesn't come anywhere close. But I feel like where Honda does best is not with this hatchback, it's actually with the sedan. The sedan costs less, even though it's a hybrid, you can get it in a hybrid. So with the sedan costing $1,000, maybe $2,000 less than this entry price. So I think the entry-level sedan hybrid Civic is the best buy, probably in the Civic lineup. The SI is so niche-y, and it has its issues. I was not impressed with the fuel economy on it this go around, and I wasn't impressed with the rev hang, which takes a lot of the joy out of what would be pretty much a perfect sports car. It's really, really good, but I think I'm enjoying, what is this Bentley doing? I think I'm enjoying this Civic hybrid more than the Civic SI because I get about 90% of the same handling and braking performance, but I'm getting about double the fuel economy, and I have a faster car. So yes, no, I'm not rowing my own gears, but I think I would probably pick this over the Civic SI, as much as it pains me to say that. But ride quality is actually really good in here. It's a little bit more firm than the Accord, of course, but honestly, I'm really impressed with the ride quality in here. Even though, of course, the more expensive Accord is just a hair better. Also, the paddle shifters, well, you have, what, 4 different arrows of regen. I think the Accord may have had 5 different arrows. But I honestly, the brake pedal does the regen. And so I don't see why you would want to, unless you, like, I remember driving the CR-V hybrid in the California mountains, and that's when I did use those paddle shifters, because those paddle shifters slowed the vehicle down on the downward slope of the mountains. Here in flat Florida, I don't really ever have that necessity, and I like using the brake pedal here because, well, I can modulate it. I can't modulate other than 4 locked settings of the paddle shifter regen. So it's a cool feature that I just would never use here in Florida. It doesn't bring the vehicle to a complete stop, so you still have to use a brake pedal anyway. So there's my thoughts on the regen braking, but I'm glad. I like how Honda does it. Like Toyota has paddle shifters on their hybrids, and it just like simulates gears and revs the engine high. I like how Honda does it here with different levels of regen, even though I would never ever use either unless I was on a downhill slope for a long period of time. But I need to shut it down. Thank you guys for watching. I'll see you in the fuel economy test of this Civic hybrid, and maybe take a guess down below what kind of fuel economy do you think I'll get. Again, it's rated at 48 combined. I want to say it's 50 in town and like 47 on the highway, something like that. I'm going to do an extensive fuel economy test on this, so stay tuned for that. And I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out from the incredible Civic hybrid.